dancing clown. I'll take all of you, as I'll feast on your flesh as I feed on your
Pennywise, what are his pros and cons? Do I think he's worth that price? And at the end of the day, what would I give him on a scale from 1 to 10? I will be answering all of that and more in today's review of Pennywise from Spirit Halloween. Alright, so I hope you guys have been enjoying all of the Pennywise videos on my channel. This will sadly be the last one about the animatronic, although there will be a lot to look forward to within the haunted house related to Pennywise. But I personally have really been enjoying putting these out for you guys after seeing Pennywise in person once again. The last time I saw him was in the flagship, so after seeing him again, I absolutely love this guy, and I am excited to get into my thoughts with you guys. So, for the pros, first of all, he is very realistic and true to the movie. I personally feel that he is the best looking Pennywise animatronic that I have seen. I mean, feel free to comment one down in the comments that looks more like the actual thing. Not talking about like animation, but looks more like the one from the movie. I find this one's face, the clothing, the shoes, the hair, everything seems to come together so perfectly that it looks exactly like Pennywise. I don't know how else to put it. It just looks so good and so realistic, and there's nothing funny looking about it. Like with some of the ones that we've seen at Party City, I mean, no shade to them, but some of those ones have all the really dark black cracks in the head. Those just aren't looking too great. The mouth is a little bit distorted. The cheeks don't look right. And it's like, you know it is Pennywise, but it just doesn't really feel like he's actually there. And with this prop, I feel like it really brings it. Like, if you see him in the distance, you see him at the end of a hallway in the haunted house, it really feels like it might just be somebody in makeup looking exactly like Pennywise. It feels like Pennywise is there, and I honestly, personally feel like that is just a big plus of him. It's just the look. Like I have on here, I love the balloon, the addition of the balloon. The shoes are super realistic. They have all the detail in them. They're not just a generic mold. The mold is absolutely perfect. The paint is great. It doesn't have very detailed cracks in the face, but it still does have them. And I wish they maybe would have painted them a slightly grayer color. Might have made his face a bit more detailed, but I think overall I'm glad they didn't overdo those, because that would have been worse. And the hair is the perfect shape and color and everything, and it's awesome. The other pros I have here are, it is a good jump scare prop. The animation is popping up like we saw with Forest Demon, and I think it does fit him really well. One thing that kind of happens is when he pops up, his arms kind of go like this, and it almost makes it look like he has arm motion when he doesn't. But by doing that, it actually brings him to life even more. Like if you watch the videos of him and the demo videos that people have up on him, when his arms kind of pop up, it really looks like he's jumping up. And it kind of brings some life to it a little bit more than just the, you know, popping up motion. And I do think the popping up motion fits him. One thing is that he gets really tall. I don't even think he could fit in here. I never did an activation in here because he gets really tall when he pops up. He's already tall just standing. I mean, he's like a whole head above me, super large too. He's like an oversized being, and I think that fits him pretty well because I think it makes him a little bit more scary. And I think in the movies, Pennywise is really large. There's certain moments where he's like huge because he can kind of shapeshift and like all this and that. So it does kind of make him even more scary because he's gigantic. He's not just like a regular sized human being. I mean, there might be some of you guys out there who are as tall as him, but it is towering over me. And once it pops up, it's even more so. So it's going to be very scary. And there also is lots of animation as a whole. He has the light up eyes, which I love because there's even a scene in the intro to the movie, I won't spoil anything, but where, you know, the guy's kind of floating in the water and you see the eyes lit up, and I find that to be a really spooky scene. I don't think his eyes light up very often, but that is one scene where they do light up, so it's not like it's completely out there to have his eyes light up, and I think that I'm glad that it does because it kind of brings him to life a little bit more and it makes him more scary. He also has mouth movement, which isn't the greatest, but I'll get into that later, but he does have it, so that is something to take into account. He also has the popping up and the audio. So it is kind of a lot of animation. It's not just doing one singular thing. So I think the animation as a whole comes together really nicely. But one thing I would say is kind of in the middle of pro and con is the audio as a whole, because although I love the phrases and I love the voice, I mean, the voice isn't even voice acting, it just is the voice from the movie. And it has kind of like different, phrases, different things that Pennywise said, different quotes from the movie. It has 3 of them, and all of them are very creepy. The laughter at the end, the laughter where it goes into like a deep voice, where it turns into like demonic. I don't even know if that's in the movie, but all of the phrases I absolutely love. They're really cool. But the problem with the audio is that it has very bad volume. Even when the volume is all the way turned up, It does not sound very loud at all, and it is going to be overpowered by all the other stuff going on, at least in my haunted house, and probably for you guys too. I mean, if you're going to have them outside and you have a lot of people coming to your house, it's going to be very loud and hectic, so you want that audio to be overpowering, especially because I think he's going to be kind of a staple of my haunted house this year. So I'm going to have to hook him up to a external speaker, so you always have that option. It's not a complete loss because he can be hooked up to an external speaker, which makes him sound even better than all the other props. But when he just has his box going, it just doesn't work right. And I don't necessarily think that it's because the speaker is bad. It's because he has this really heavy duty thick costume that the speaker is underneath of, and I don't think the audio is coming out of it well enough. So his audio is very low, and don't get deceived. In my demo video, I did trick you guys because I just edited the video to have the volume like doubled. So it actually is super quiet. It's much quieter than it is in my demo video, so you have to take that into account. The cons are that it has a slow and loud retraction time, and the retraction definitely is a kind of overpowers the phrases when you don't have it on external speaker, so that's kind of a big problem. I mean, that's just how it is for these props. We've seen it with Forest Demon already. It has this this different looking piece that kind of has this gear that pulls it all the way down, and it is very, very loud because it's fighting against springs. It's the same thing for the other ones like Demonic Dahlia and Jack Straw that are also fighting against springs. It's always going to be really, really loud. But the problem is that the audio doesn't overpower it, so you do have to use that external speaker, and it also is very slow, but that's okay because he actually kind of like, his phrases keep going, and it is what it is. It's not the slowest we've ever seen. And he also has very bad mouth movement. That's what I was going to say. Although he does have the mouth movement, so you want to take that into account for how much animation he has. The mouth movement is very just kind of like, it's kind of jittering up and down, and I think that they probably struggled with having it have realistic mouth movement because its face just is in that smile with the buck teeth sticking down, and so he doesn't really talk like that. I mean, I don't know. They couldn't make it close too much or it would look kind of weird. So it just has like this little, it's kind of shaking. And that's fine. I mean, I think it looks realistic enough, but for those of you that kind of like them to have better mouth movement, the mouth movement isn't anything to be impressed with. So that is all the pros and cons. The price is $269.99, so $270 for this guy this year. I doubt that there's going to be a sale on that because I think he is probably going to be the biggest seller that they've had for this season, probably in a long time, because he is a very, very popular licensed. And I would say, if you take into account the fact that licensed props always have a bumped up price and that he actually is really huge and has a lot of animation and is really super cool, then I would say it is worth it. I mean, there are some like Crouchy that are $300 this year. It's not even from a movie, although it kind of is trying to be, so I think that's why they did that. It kind of looks like Pennywise, but I mean, he only has side-to-side motion, so you know, I mean, the Collector, they had it $300, but they dropped it down, so I can't really compare it to that. But I think it's not the most expensive. It's up there with being the most expensive, but I think it makes sense because it is a large, very high quality, licensed animatronic. So you're just gonna have to expect that. Obviously, it would be much more worth it if it was like $200. I would have loved to see it for that. But $270 makes sense because it's licensed, so I would say it's worth it if you take that into account. But if you're on a tight budget, it's not the greatest for you. So overall, I would give him a 7 out of 10. That is my final score. I think he has a lot of pros going for him. I think the animation is awesome. I think he looks really cool. That's my favorite thing about him. And he really, if you're a fan of the movie, I mean, he's a must-have. If you can fit him into your budget, he is a must-have because I think he's the best Pennywise prop that has ever been released. It's just so realistic. It feels like Pennywise is in my basement when I have him down here. It's very scary, and it's just really, really awesome for movie fans. So I would say that he is a super cool one for this year. I highly recommend him. There will be a link to Spirit Halloween's website. There'll be a link to Spirit Halloween's website down in the description if you want to buy Pennywise, who I believe is in stock again on the website. He's coming in and out. I was able to get one in store, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's gonna be a really tough one to find this year, but get him while you still can because I think he is in stock at this very moment. And so there will be a link down in the description. You can also get anything else you need for the Halloween season. They have a lot of awesome Pennywise merchandise as well, which I also highly recommend. And If you buy anything on that link, you'll be helping out me and the channel. That is my affiliate link, so please, please do. If you have anything that you want to get for this season, there's no reason not to. You pay normal, it's complete normal shopping experience, but there will also be a 20% off coupon code from the channel, from me to you, that you can use to make these prices a little bit less scary. On top of that, you can get this merchandise at the card that you saw pop up earlier or down in the description. And lastly, there will also be my Instagram if you want to get some behind the scenes looks at HGJ Halloween and what I'm doing behind the scenes. All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching today's review. Let me know what you think of Pennywise down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.